Good morning, everyone. I'm really pleased to be here today to talk to you about Greenvale Energy's unique projects, which I think you'll find are quite different to everyone else here today. Usual disclaimer. Start off with a corporate summary. We have 433 million shares on issue, where share price currently around 11 cents. Our market cap is just under 48 million, and cash and liquid investments at the moment is around 8.5 million. Top 20 shareholders make up 45% of the business, and with the board and management making up around 17%. The board consists of myself, Leo Carew, and our chairman is Neil Biddle, who I'm sure you all know from Pilbara Minerals. So Greenvale Energy, we have two unique projects with really one driving goal, and that is to be Australia's only end-to-end producer of carbon-neutral bitumen products. Our flagship project, our Torbanite project, consists of the oil shales, Torbanite and Cannel Coal, and our geothermal projects consist of the geothermals in central Queensland with our highly prospective Milingara Basin projects. On the road to success. So the Alpha project is located in central Queensland, about 500 kilometres from Rockhampton, which is about 60 kilometres from the township of Alpha. Our JORC mineral resource estimate gave us 18.6 million tonnes of Torbanite and Cannel Coal, and the Torbanite itself is very high yielding. It consists of 698 litres of hydrocarbons per tonne. This equates to around 21.2 million tonnes of barrels of synthetic oil. Given the recent results that we've received from our test programs, we're confident now to go into a new drilling program. An announcement will be made on that shortly. But we know that the northwest extends, the resource extends around 10 kilometres, and again to the southwest, so that's where we'll be concentrating on our next drilling campaign, which will be announced soon. Torbanite and Cannel Coal, even though it's called Cannel Coal, it's an oil shale. And as you can see there, it's really top of the class when it comes to oil shales. They're both very high yielding. Now, the seam itself is made up of an upper layer of Cannel Coal, an L1 layer of Cannel Coal, and then an LT layer of Torbanite, and then a lower level of LT of Cannel Coal. What we have there is 4.6 million tonnes of the very rare Torbanite, which in most emphasis is very high yielding, and then the remaining 14 million tonnes of Cannel Coal. Now, when it comes to retorting oil shales, the conventional way is to use pyrolysis, and that's what we did in the early days. We looked at that, but what we found was it produces a lot of gases and it was very carbon intensive. So we looked for an alternative. So when we engaged a consultant called Procom, they recommended that we try the liquefaction process. So what we did under test program 1 is we did trials of Cannel Coal on its own, Torbanite on its own, and then a blend of Cannel Coal and Torbanite. Now, test program 1 proved that the liquefaction process worked. Now, as we have 76% resource of Cannel Coal, to really take this project from a very good project to an outstanding project, we really wanted to work on the Cannel Coal and really get the most out of it. So test program 1 gave us 22.4% conversion of oil and gas, and it contained asphaltenes, which is very important for bitumen. So for bitumen products, you want between 5 and 25% asphaltenes. The higher the asphaltenes, the more bitumen products you'll produce. So test program 1 carried out by Procom, we tested at temperatures around 340 degrees, and with that soon realized that was too low. So we, in test program 2, went to the maximum of what Procom's power reactor would go to, which is 365 degrees. That's only an increase of 25 degrees. And what we saw was a significant increasement already. So 32.5% of oil gas product, and then a big jump of asphaltenes of 6.5. So from test program 1 to test program 2, we saw a 57% improvement, which is huge, which far exceeded anything what we would expect. Now, to go into test program 3, we engaged the University of Jordan because they had a power reactor that could go at higher temperatures. So working in collaboration with the University of Jordan and Procom, we managed to test up to 400 degrees. Now, I'm very pleased to say that our results have come out to the market this morning, so I'm allowed to talk to you now about the test program 3 results. So concentrating on cannel coal, because as emphasized before, this is what really makes the project outstanding, is the cannel coal now, the yields is 67%. So the oil and gas is around 50%, and the asphaltenes has jumped up to 16%. That's an improvement from test program 2 to test program 3 of 72%, which again, we could never expected these results. It's actually now put cannel coal on par with torbanite on a number of those tests, which again, we never expected. So you can imagine we are very pleased about these results. The bitumen market in Australia, all bitumen is imported into Australia, mainly comes from China, Korea, Singapore, and Thailand. It's shipped here in big, heavy oil tankers, heated at about 170 degrees, and produces a lot of emissions. Travels in here then into the ports, different ports, Gladstone, and then from there it's transported to asphalt facilities. Now, the demand for bitumen is around 1 million tonnes a year. That is only going to increase. Now, last week the federal budget was announced, and they announced that they're going to be spending $8.1 billion on road and rail infrastructure over the next 10 years, with the vast majority of that expenditure being in the road section. Just in Queensland alone, $2.1 billion is going to be spent on road projects. So the demand from bitumen is absolutely going to go up. And there's going to be a small event being held in Brisbane in a few years' time called the Olympics as well. So you can see there the demand for bitumen again as the infrastructure spends in Queensland keeps going up. So again, we're very positive around the bitumen industry. With our bitumen products, we'll send them over to New Zealand to a lab there who will verify and certify what products we have, and they'll be able to give us some pricing of what the value of our products are. But just give you an indication of how much bitumen is. Each month, the Department of Main Roads in Queensland released the price for bitumen, and at the moment, it's trading around $1,500 per tonne. So it's a very high value product. Untapped potential. So our geothermal projects, why geothermal? And I just want to emphasize here as well that our geothermals are standalone from our bitumen products, projects. People do get confused that they are linked. They are both standalone projects, but they do complement each other. So bitumen, geothermal. The Earth is one big battery, and geothermal itself provides 24/7, 7 days a week base load power. No other renewable energy can do that. It's not reliable on the sun shining, and it's not reliable on the wind blowing either. So geothermal to us is the only true renewable energy out there. Now, we have EPG, exploration geothermal licenses in the Malungra Basin, in Julia Creek, Lara Downs, and Ouchie. We're expecting those to be awarded at the end of this year. We're just in native title discussions at the moment. But the government recently announced that they were taking over the Copper String high voltage power line, which is a $5 billion project that runs straight through Julia Creek, which puts us in a prime position to be able to tap into that and provide baseload power. Now, also around that region as well, there's a number of mines getting off the ground, a lot of them being vanadium. So we'll be in a strong position to provide those mine sites with a power grid as well. Now, our other application is in Longreach. Our EPG application is imminent to be awarded. We're hoping in the next month. And for that reason, we'll be kicking off our first geothermal project in Longreach. We've recently signed a heads of agreement with a company called Surify Energy in the UK. They have some great technology. It's called the Surify well. It's a downhole heater that sits at the bottom of the well. what we will be doing is called advanced geothermal, where basically you drill down into the hot rock bed system, and then what you do is push down a working fluid. The working fluid goes down to the bottom of the well, where the heat exchanger sits. The heat exchanger, along with the hot rock system, heats it up, and then a hot fluid comes up and then goes into above ground heat exchanger, which then turns into steam, and steam goes into a turbine, which produces the electricity. The steam then is cooled down, becomes back in a liquid, and goes back into the well. So it's a complete closed loop system. This is being done for the first time in the UK at the moment, and the results of them will be out in the next few months. But this technology is an absolute game changer for us, because what it means is we don't have to do any fracking, which we would never do anyway. We no longer have to require water aquifer. There's not many water aquifers within Australia, so this really opens it up for us. And best of all, no water at all. So when people think of geothermal, they think of water, they think of water uses, the reinjection. So not having to use water is a big thing for us. It's really beneficial, and it makes the project, again, a lot more viable, and we'll be able to look at different locations as well now. Now, as a renewable energy power plant, what that entitles us to do is renewable energy credits. They come in the form of large generation certificates. For every 1 megawatt of electricity you produce, you get a certificate. Now, you probably can't read that graph, but that gives you an idea of the last few years of what the spot price has been and where it's potentially going. So at the moment, at the end of January, it was sitting at $49 per certificate. And last year, towards the end of fourth quarter, it was really sitting around $60. The government's on about putting a cap on at 75, so that gives you an indication of where they think this is going. On the road ahead. So on the Alpha project, we've just finished test program 3. Please jump onto our AX6 announcements and look at those results. They're absolutely outstanding. We're going to test program 4 now. We haven't finished with the testing program. Test program 3 was good, but we want to improve on that in test program 4. Prior to this, we've only been using our outcrop samples. Now we'll be using our core samples, which should give us better results. And then we'll be able to send our samples over, get them verified, and then we'll finish off the PFS Q3 this year. And then what we'll do is kick off the environmental process. We'll have to do an EA for the mine site and an EAS for the process plant, which will take in the region around 2 years to do. So we want to kick those off as soon as we can, which will then enable us to go in the pilot. We'll do the pilot plant extension in conjunction with that, and then we'll go into construction 2025 and hopefully have the plants up and running by 2026. With the geothermal projects, as mentioned before, we've kicked off a feasibility study with Certified. That'll take about 12 weeks. Once we've finished that, everything's successful, we'll move into the next phase of design, and then we'll kick off the environmental approvals for the geothermal as well, which will take around about 18 months. And then we should have all approvals, and we can go into construction 2025, and hopefully have the plant up and running by the end of 25, 26. So why Greenvale? We have a very experienced board and management team. We have a clear vision to be the only end-to-end producer of carbon-neutral bitumen products. We have the geothermal energy, which is the only true renewable energy that gives you 24/7 baseload power. And because of these two unique projects and our driving goal to be Australia's only bitumen producer and carbon offset, it puts us in a very unique position. We basically have no competition in Australia, which is a rare oddity. So that's me. Thank you very much. If you do have any questions, please come up to the booth and talk to me.